What would happen if an FPS only sweat who's never played a hero shooter before dedicated 1 week to playing Marvel Rivals? How high in ranked could I climb? Can I find the perfect hero for me? And is Marvel Rivals easier than first-person shooters? Well, there's only one way to find out. Okay, so the first thing I had to do was to choose what hero to play as, and looking into the practice range and seeing 35 different heroes was a little overwhelming.
Oh wow, there's a lot more characters than I thought there were.
You see, I jumped into this game completely blind, and coming from Apex, where there's only 26 playable legends after 6 years, my poor little FPS brain couldn't comprehend so many choices. So I decided to look for what I was familiar with.
Is there a gun character? Punisher? Yeah, he is a gun.
After fixing my settings, I compulsively jumped into a live match. You have to get to level 10 to unlock ranked, and I didn't have any time to waste. And that's because of rule number 1 of this challenge. I have to limit the play time for each day to less than 5 hours. Number 2, I have to learn everything completely in-game, so I can't look up any guides or tutorials. Number 3, I have to play ranked completely solo, which I was told will make you mentally insane, and spoiler, they weren't wrong. Also, during the course of this challenge, I actually thought of a new goal, one that comes with a punishment if I fail. But more on that later. Because there were so many heroes to try, I decided that for every game I played, I would choose a new hero, starting with Punisher. But that's when I realized that I didn't actually know how to win a game because...
Try tutorial? I don't need no tutorial.
Luckily, the developers made it pretty obvious what you have to do to win, and my confidence only grew when I started the game off strong and was racking up kill after kill. Maybe Marvel Rivals really was as easy as I thought it would be, but it wasn't until I died that I realized that there was something wrong.
Yeah, that's not real. That's a bot.
I figured the only way to fight against real humans was to keep queuing up new games, and I'm fairly sure that the next game I at least had real people on my team.
Jarvis, tell way more that she sucks. Wait, what?
I also started fighting against people whose names were a little, well, questionable, so I doubt that they were bots. So I had made it out of bot lobbies, but I wasn't any closer to finding the perfect hero for me, or reaching the level requirement to play ranked. My thought process was that during the time it took me to get to level 10, I'd learn all the basics of the game. Remember, I've never played a hero shooter before, so I was kinda in over my head. That's why I hit the ground running, trying out heroes one after the other, but I just wasn't feeling a connection to any of them. I also just wasn't very good.
Oh, I should leave. They'll probably kill me here.
But it was during a game with Star-Lord, who I wasn't the biggest fan of,
I don't like the lack of ammo.
that I found my first main contender.
What was that?
The high damage combined with the satisfaction of hitting shots?
What?
Hawkeye had the potential to become my main. He only had one flaw. I wasn't a fan of how slow he was, or how slow all the characters I had tried so far were. I'm used to fast movement and techniques that require frame-perfect timing, not walking. So my chat suggested that I try one of the fastest heroes in the game, Psylocke. And although she had the highest difficulty rating I'd seen, I was a big fan of her assassin-style gameplay. And just like that, day 1 came to an end. I had reached level 9 and had 2 contenders for my main, but there were still so many heroes that I hadn't tried yet. And what's worse is that I was still stuck in the solo player mentality. Marvel Rivals is a team game, so my selfish mindset was very detrimental, but that was something that I still hadn't realized yet, that would have consequences later on. I started out with trying some more characters, and honestly, I got tired of switching heroes every single game. And so I developed a strategy around Punisher, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. You see, unlike Apex, where you're locked in for the legend you choose for the whole match, Marvel Rivals lets you swap heroes mid-game. Using this mechanic, I would use Winter Soldier for attacking, Punisher for defending, and if there was an enemy hero that could hover, I'd choose Hawkeye so I could pick them off. However, using this strategy was ultimately a bad decision for ranked, but it worked great in quick play, so much so that I fell into a rhythm and quickly achieved level 10, which meant that I could jump head first into ranked. I was a little nervous at first, especially because I hadn't achieved the Winter Soldier again combo, which is where you kill an enemy after hitting them with your ult, which recharges it, and then do it again and again. I knew that in order to succeed as Winter Soldier in ranked, I'd have to be able to perform this combo, but the clock was ticking on the challenge and I didn't have time to waste practicing. It was my first ever match, and after losing 2 objectives but stopping the enemy from getting the 3rd, it was our turn to attack. I was locked in a 1v1 with a Magneto, my ultimate charged up, and I saw my opportunity. And I failed. Once my ult had charged again, I was faced head to head with Magneto once more. But I learned my lesson and was patient, waiting for a squishy character to unleash my ultimate on. Blinded, I decided to pop my ultimate straight into a Luna Snow ult. The failures were mounting, and while I was improving, I was starting to wonder if I'd ever pull the combo off. And that's when it happened. We were being held out at the second checkpoint, and I saw my chance.
Armed and dangerous! Again!
Wow, 4 in a row.
I had not only successfully achieved the combo, but I had cleared the entire front line and propelled my team to victory. I continued to perform well in my other games and was climbing the ranks quickly. In fact, it was going so well that in my last game, our team completely spawn locked the enemy, and I ended the day in Silver 2 with a 40 kill game. 40 kills? Oh my god! I was confident, so I foolishly came up with a new goal and a punishment. If I didn't get to platinum by the end of day 7, I'd have to eat a ghost pepper on stream. Which, if you don't know, is 200 to 400 times hotter than a jalapeno. I mean, it was only day 2, and I had made my way out of bronze and halfway into silver, with 5 days still left in the challenge, so I was pretty confident that I could make it. And so I went to bed with high hopes for the next session, not knowing what awaited me the next day. Now, do you remember when I said that my strategy was ultimately a bad decision? Day 3 showed me why. The day started off rough. We got a teammate who was tilted from his previous games.
I'm just coming off of playing with fucking trash teams, man.
And while we were tied with the enemy, tensions were high.
You always die fucking upwards of 10 times. Every
I'm
fucking
not
game.
getting healed.
Do you stay on Venom? Do you stay Venom the whole fucking game?
So I tried to calm the team down. It's a new round, let's just take a second. We got 30 seconds, let's come up with a plan.
Yeah, maybe swap off Venom. That was a good plan.
But ultimately it was fruitless and we lost the game.
Trash, dog. No, thanks
Mother,
to you,
your
I'm
mother's
switching up from
trash.
Venom the whole time.
Fucking-
Stay Venom.
Good game, that was fun. I still had a good time though and went into the next match with a positive attitude. But we lost that game too. And then we got crushed the next one. And then I would kind of go back and forth between winning and losing, and it felt like in order to make any kind of difference, I had to pop off. 42 kills. That's what I need to do in order to win a game. And honestly, it was starting to get to me. And then came a game that pushed me to my absolute limit. We were down 3-0, and it was our turn to attack. We managed to score 1 point, but got stopped hard in our tracks, and time kept winding down all the way to... I made a play and pushed the point. Using Spider Zero as cover, I eliminated opponents and managed to secure another objective, keeping the game alive. But progress was slow going and it once again came down to... But with a great team push, we managed to force them back again. Nice! However, we were still in overtime. There were no more second chances. Since we tied, we were chosen to attack first, and it once again came down to... In overtime, we were able to take the point, pushing our total score to 4, but we were ultimately stopped. We had to prevent the enemy from taking the point to win. But with 2 minutes left on their time, that was going to be a hard task to achieve. Our team banded together and played for time. And while they were able to take the point, we had forced them into overtime. If we could just push them off the objective, we would win the game. No! I might have just thrown. I was in disbelief. I had made absolutely zero progress for the day. And we lost 19. We are right where we started today. With 4 days remaining and the ghost pepper looming overhead, I started questioning myself. What was I doing wrong? Were my chosen mains actually useful? Was playing DPS a mistake? I went to bed regretting the decisions I'd made, but with my regret came a new resolve. I knew that it was time to make a drastic change. On day 4, I went back to the drawing board. I wanted to stay with DPS, and I told myself that was because dealing damage is what I know best. But looking back, I was just avoiding trying a new role. So I revisited Star-Lord, and things were looking up when I won my first game on. I still wasn't the biggest fan of the lack of ammo, but my chat showed me I could get an auto-reload if I flipped around. And his ultimate was fantastic for picking off healers. But after losing the next 4 games, I need a new character. So my chat suggested that I play as Iron Fist. And while I'm not a fan fan of melee characters, I was willing to take a chance because I was just tired of losing. And I was honestly surprised with how useful he was in quick play. His jumps allow him to attack hovering heroes.
Oh my god, that's insane!
And landing hits is seriously satisfying. After practicing, I was confident and ready to try him in ranked, but I guess I hadn't cooled off from the losses just yet.
I got one shot! What am I supposed to do?
Iron Fist was clearly not working, so I switched to Psylocke, who had tried back in day 1. With a great team push on the site, we were able to clear the enemy and take the point. And while I'd love to say that I turned it all around,
No! He's in my ult! How is that? What? I'm actually so confused at how that rocket was surviving my ult.
However, even with my poor performance and me switching to Punisher, my team and I did well enough that we were able to barely win the game.
By 2 meters.
Yes, sir!
It was definitely a bummer not performing well with Iron Fist after I had taken the time to learn his moveset, but I was happy to have another win under my belt. I continued using Psylocke after my chat gave me some tips with her. They said I should go invisible to get behind enemy lines to ambush the healers and DPSs, and to stop focusing on the tanks. And after trying it out while making mistakes along the way, I got better at it. I wasn't just blindly dealing out damage to tanks anymore. I was developing a strategy that was actually working, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Psylocke really had the potential to become my main. I wasn't overly satisfied or disappointed with the day's progress since it was a pretty balanced day. I ended with 5 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. And since I gained more points than I lost, I had ranked up to Silver 1. I decided that I would keep using Psylocke, so I created a custom crosshair and practiced my aim with her in the range before heading to bed. I guess my practice paid off, because while day 5 started out with a loss, I was playing more confidently and tactically, using covering strategy to pick off players and turn the tide of games. In the first 8 games I played, I only lost 2, ranking up into gold.
Yes!
And I got to see something that actually made me consider switching my role.
I was made for this!
Oh my god! That's incredible!
Maybe playing as a tank would be fun, and when my teammate in another game wanted me to switch, I gave it a shot. And honestly, I was flat out not prepared to be a tank. The constant damage indicators made the experience way more hectic than I thought it would be, and I found myself constantly worried about my health. Safe to say I lost that game, and I tried Groot one more time with no success. I guess it just wasn't time for me to commit to being a tank. For now. So I went back to who I knew, and unfortunately I had a losing streak.
No way, I got out of there.
And while I won my quick match games with ease, I struggled in my ranked games. There seemed to be a pattern developing where I performed well in the beginning of the day, but would fall off later on. I ended up winning only 2 more games and losing 4. Oddly enough, that brought my total wins and losses both to 8 for the day. So that made 2 days in a row where my wins and losses were even. Was Marvel Rivals matchmaking setting this up? And if it was, what could I do about it? I decided to go back and review my footage and see if there were any clues that could lead me to an answer. Looking at the stats didn't really help, as most of the games both teams had pretty similar stats. There were a couple outliers, like a game where an Iron Man absolutely destroyed us, but that was because we were too slow to counter him. And that made me realize something. The 2 games that I did win, I'd switched mid-game to Punisher to counter a specific player, while all the other games I stayed as Psylocke. This made me think that maybe I wasn't being flexible enough with my role, and if matchmaking really was rigging my games, maybe it was doing so based on my stats as a DPS. With only 2 days left, I would have to rank up 3 times to get to plat, and at my current pace, I wouldn't make it, so I couldn't put it off anymore. I had to change roles. On day 6, I resolved to try out tanking again, and it was suggested to me to try Venom as he's very beginner friendly. I wanted to be smart this time, so I practiced with him in the range, creating combinations with his abilities that I could use. Once I felt at least a little ready, I bit the bullet and queued into a match. It was every bit as intense as I expected, but it seemed to be working out.
Cloak and Dagger's dead. I'm so good at this game. Oh my god.
It definitely was the play, because out of the first 7 games I played, I only lost 1. There was even a game where my team was fighting with one another.
You're just getting Moon Knight dipped and you're mad about it.
And even though tensions were high, I was flexible with my role and switched to Psylocke, which seemed to turn the game around, and we won. I was honestly shocked with the progress I was making. Maybe this was the change I needed all along. I had been so caught up in using what I was familiar with that I never really left my comfort zone. And by finally having the courage to step outside it? I was succeeding more than I thought possible. I ranked up all the way into Gold 1, and it seemed very probable that I would get to Platinum today, finishing the additional challenge early.
We may not even get to 7 days. Unfortunate. Yeah, that's the overconfidence. Now it's gonna put me in lobbies with people who just know life this game. It's literally what's about to happen. It's just gonna be like, oh, you've been winning a little bit too much. Yeah, can't expect to win them all. We've lost 4 in a row.
I had hit a wall. The day had started out so well, so what was I doing wrong? Was it my role? But I tried both tank and DPS. Was it my communication? I used my mic, and even in the games where someone was heated, we still worked well as a team and won. So what could it be? What was holding me back? With only 1 session left to complete the challenge, I struggled to find answers to my questions. Today was the final day. Would I get to Plat and succeed, or would I fail and have to partake in the Ghost Pepper? With the way the day started, it wasn't looking so good. I lost my first game playing as Venom, so I decided to switch to Psylocke like I had on day 4, and I was able to win. But the win streak didn't last long because I got put up against SEAL Team 6 the next game, and our team was easily defeated. But the next game we performed so well, the enemy team actually surrendered, and I noticed that a pattern was forming. This win-loss pattern kept continuing to the point that I started calling it fate.
We were fated to win. That's how it works. We lose, we win, we lose, we win, we lose, we win.
This pattern went on for a total of 12 games, but I was steadily gaining ranks because I would always gain more than I lost. But then came the turning point.
We finally broke the curse. We lost 2 in a row! We lost 2 in a row!
I was happy that the curse was broken, and I'd love to say that after breaking it, I went on a win streak and made my way into Plat. But frankly, I knew that it was no longer possible to get it in the time I had left. So I'd have to do the punishment I set for myself. But I still wanted to end on a win, and looking back, this decision was a mistake. You see, there were comments I received on my videos about how solo queuing ranked will make you mentally insane, and now I understand why. Because on top of this 12 back and forth win-loss streak, I then went on a 6-game loss streak, which deranked me into Gold 2. I wish this video had a happy ending, but I guess Marvel Rivals wasn't as easy as I thought it would be.